Welcome on into WagerTalk Extra, where we're always reminding you no matter what sport you're cashing in on, that money all spends the same. I'm your host, Dan Alexander, and I'm joined today by my man, Andy Lang. We're going to be talking a little auto racing. He's got a best bet for you in the Miami Grand Prix Formula One action this weekend. He's also going to break down NASCAR action in Kansas. And of course, we're going to get you that Stenhouse award you know and love. And then Tokyo Brandon coming on and dropping a 5% play for free. So you want to stay tuned on that. He's looking at the Lotte Marines and the SoftBank Hawks, and then in the KBO, the SSG Landers and Kiwoom Heroes. So one of my favorite things is blindly backing his Asian baseball plays and waking up at like whenever I'm ready to go for work and I realize, oh, I have more money in my account because these games go off at 5 a.m. So we got plenty of action coming your way, and let's get right into it with my man Andy Lang. And Andy, whenever we talk auto racing, we always like to start with the best of the worst. And this might be the most dangerous Stenhouse award ever. What do you got for the folks, brother?
This is one of those where we can laugh about it now, but in the moment, it was terrifying. So, few nominees that we have this week. Ross Chastain can't help running into people. It's just in his DNA. He runs into a guy who's going a lap down, and he spins him into Kyle Larson, who probably had the best car on track. So, just week in and week out, you always have Ross Chastain running into people. But the Stenhouse award goes to poor Esteban Ocon and the photographers. So Esteban Ocon had not made his mandatory pit stop in the Formula One race, and he waited until the last lap. So nobody in the pits realized it. So they let all the photographers onto pit lane to get ready to start taking pictures of the winner crossing the finish line and the winners coming around for their victory lap, not knowing there's a Formula One car coming in at full speed. So Esteban Ocon comes in and it's kind of a blind turn, and he comes around the corner going 50, 60 miles an hour or whatever the speed limit is. And there's about 50 photographers standing there, and they have to dive out of the way. They literally had to dive out of the way to avoid getting run over. Nobody got hit, thank God. But it could have been an absolutely nasty, disgusting situation. And in the moment, it was terrifying, but now we can laugh. So congratulations, Esteban Ocon and the photographers for this week's Stenhouse Award winner.
Man, it could have been the worst Stenhouse of all time. We couldn't even have made it a Stenhouse if what could have happened did happen. But luckily,
No way.
we're able to laugh at it and say, dear God, what could have been with Esteban Ocon? All right, Andy, let's get into some more actionable info, I suppose, and take a look at this NASCAR event this weekend. Give us a little track preview and just maybe how you're going to be betting this before we turn pages and take a look at the Miami Grand Prix and Formula One action.
We're going to Kansas. This is your standard mile and a half. That is not. There you go.
There we go.
Formula One. Yeah, that is the NASCAR version of a track, just round. That's it. This is your basic cookie cutter. It's your standard mile and a half. Martin Truex was able to get the win last week on the Monster Mile at Dover, and this track is pretty straightforward. Don't expect a lot of passing under green. Open air is going to be key. So just don't be surprised if you see guys taking two tires, guys that are stuck in the middle of the pack trying to do something to get out in front. My guess is there's going to be a couple cars that nail the setup at the beginning and they get off to a really good start, lead most of the laps to start with. Then around those first and second pit stops, expect some more guys to flip flop as they try some different tire strategies. So if you want to take a look at the top 6 average finishes at Kansas since February of 2020, Martin Truex's first, average finish is 6th. Denny Hamlin is 2nd. Kyle Larson 3rd. Alex Bowman 4th. William Byron 5th. And Kevin Harvick 6th. So I went ahead and looked at the average driver rankings for Las Vegas and Auto Club. Those are the other 2 mile and a halves that they've raced on this year. And looks like Ross Chastain has the highest driver average with William Byron, Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin behind them. So you're seeing a lot of the same guys. Toyota actually won the race last week. That's a really good sign for Toyota. They've struggled getting to victory lane, but not only did they win, they had 3 others in the top 7. So that was a really, really good race for Toyota. And two Toyotas actually won the race at Kansas last year. So maybe Toyota's having a little bit of a resurgence, a comeback this year. Look for them to be strong. My favorite top 10 this week, I do like Chase Elliott at minus 145. He finished second at his only mile and a half race earlier this season. That was at California. He was actually kind of terrible on some of the cookie cutter tracks last year, but he finished 11th in Kansas, the last Kansas race of the year. He's finished 10th, 11th, and 12th in 3 races since returning from injury. I expect Elliott to have a good run here. And my favorite head to head, I do like Blaney over Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, he's got 2 wins this year, but it's not been a very consistent season. I feel like the Penske Ford is getting better for Blaney. Finished 7th, 2nd, and 3rd the last 3 weeks. So he seems to be in a little bit of groove. I'll take Blaney over Kyle Busch's little sprinkle. I will tell you though, Dan, I have not had any official plays in NASCAR because the sport has gotten a little wonky. I kind of paper traded last week. My play was Briscoe over Busher. It was awful. I'm glad I did not put it in. So if you're going to follow these plays, they are very, very small sprinkles until we find some consistency in our NASCAR plays.
And that's also why we give them out for free right here on WagerTalk Extra as well. Andy Lang wants to give the best information to him and his clients on the road to millions. So that's the way that we do it here on WTE. All right, let's actually turn pages and take a look at the Miami Grand Prix this weekend. Formula One action. We won't see any Chevys out on the course there, thankfully for that team.
Or
Andy.
Toyotas.
So how are you going to be breaking down this? Although I would say it would be great to see NASCAR drivers try and drive these tracks that the F1 racers are able to do. So how are you going to be looking to bet this weekend? And you also have a best bet that we'll get to for the folks.
Well, as bad as NASCAR has been betting to start the season, Formula One's been more than good enough, and then some. We have absolutely crushed Formula One. We were 9-2 last week in Formula One plays. And what we're doing is we're hitting these practice and qualifying bets. We did so good in practice and qualifying, we didn't even have a bet. We had one parlay that closed out with the race. So when you're following our auto racing bets, it's really, really important to make sure you're checking your updates in between practice and qualifying. So just go to Formula One, see when the practices and the qualifying are, and expect plays to come out in between because we've done a really good job here. We're going to Miami. This event was incredible last year. One of the highlights, Dan, was actually all the celebrities on drugs right before the race in the pit road when they walk up and down and interview people. Holy cow, the party had not stopped all weekend long. So I hope that Formula One is smart enough to send somebody up and down pit road to talk to all the celebrities there, because that was one of the highlights of the race. If we want to talk about the track, keep an eye on weather. We're in Miami right now. There's a 40% chance of rain on Sunday. That could be 0% or 100% come the weekend. So in Miami, we're always going to be looking at the weather here. One of the biggest developing storylines in Formula One is Sergio Perez is really close to Max Verstappen. This is going to be a battle for the rest of the season. Perez seems to do incredible on these city road courses. He just loves racing there. He got the win last week. I think the other big storyline is how dominant Red Bull is this year over the field. I think they're holding back. I think they're so much better than the rest of the cars on race day that they're not even putting 100%. When you watch them pass other cars on the straightaway, it looks like the other cars are standing still. So if you're looking at just a no-brainer, nonstop parlay piece for the rest of the season, it's Red Bull to win the race. It's minus 900. Just put it in with another play that you have. I don't see anybody competing with these guys unless there's an accident or reliability issues, which the Red Bull they're never around anybody. How can they be getting an accident? They're never like racing anybody else besides themselves. A couple of other, I'll give you a big disappointment last week was the Alpines. I've been high on them this year. They were miserable. They were never good in practice. They were not good in qualifying. They were not good in the race. I'm going to have to see something from them before I bet on them. McLaren almost had another double top 10 finish. That would have made 2 in a row, but they finished 9th and 11th. They were just barely out of that double top 10. It seems like they're slowly getting better as the season goes along. Still not a believer in Piastri, but he seems to be getting better. Maybe he can sneak into the top 10 here. If so, it's a pretty good plus money bet to get both McLarens in there. couple of bets that I mentioned the Red Bull to win. You can also do Red Bull double top six. And you're using these as parlay pieces. So, for example, if you have something in UFC that you like or any other sport, you can use some of these bets. So, I like the Red Bull double top six or a Red Bull to win the race as parlay pieces. The other last thing I will mention, if you follow our picks, you know we've been playing Nico Hulkenberg over Magnussen. They're both Haas cars. We've been playing them in every practice and every race. Something didn't feel right with Hulkenberg. He had problems with his car, and sure enough, Magnussen actually beat him in the sprint race and the regular race. So we're going to stay off that bet until we see Hulkenberg back over Magnussen. Should be a great race. You mentioned Tokyo Brandon's plays at 5:30 in the morning. Normally, that's how Formula One is. But this week we get him in Miami, so I get to
Yep.
sleep in a little bit, wake up on a normal schedule to watch the race.
And a well-rested Andy Lang is very good for him and his clients. We can say that
And
for
his wife
certain.
and people he
Yes.
interacts with that day.
Yes. That's very fair. So everybody benefits when Andy Lang gets a couple extra Z's. All right, Andy, let folks know what you have posted right this moment up at your page at wagertalk.com, and then also let them know what's going to be your best bet in F1 action this weekend.
Well, I'm really excited, Dan, to do this. This is something I've been working on with the Wager Talk team every Friday from here on out. We are going to have the same promo code available, Andy3, ANDY3. That'll get you a
Love it.
3-day pass for $39. That way, if you want to lock in all of our plays for the weekend, every Friday, that promo code is live. Every Monday and Tuesday from now on, we're going to have the promo code Andy7. That is a 7-day pass for $79. So if you want a week's pass, we're going to have a special for you every start of the week. That's on Monday and Tuesday. If you just want the weekend plays, you can use the promo code Andy3. That'll get you a 3-day pass for all of our weekend plays for $39. It's the best way to take advantage of Formula One, UFC, all of our NBA and NHL, lacrosse, all that stuff on the weekend. So I would encourage everybody to use those promo codes. It's by far the best deal. And yes, it does include all percentages, including 5% plays.
Andy, we're going to have to work up some catchy jingle that we'll throw for Andy 7 and Andy 3. That's for sure right there. So I was so distracted on what a great deal was. Did you tell folks what we're throwing in a parlay piece this weekend in F1 action, or did I just completely miss that trying to rush over to your page and get some major value on
No,
Andy 3 to get your plays for $39?
Let's do it. This is my favorite parlay piece, and this is at a price that if you're fine with high juice tolerance, you can just play this as its own. It's minus 225. You can throw 4% down and get just under 2% units added to your bankroll, and that's Mercedes double top 10. Rinse and repeat every single week. Mercedes double top 10. So 2 weeks ago, George Russell blew his engine, ended the race, which killed this bet. We came right back to it. I mean, Russell's going to have a new engine. He's going to be motivated. While his finishing position wasn't great, the Mercedes were not great. They finished 6th and 8th. It was an easy cash. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have finished in the top 10 23 times in the last 26 races. So this year and last year, both of these guys, 23 out of 26 times, are finishing in the top 10. So if you want to put this with a parlay piece, like, for example, UFC, take one of like Kyle Anthony's best bets and put it with these. You can take any of my UFC plays and put it with it. Or if you just want to take it at minus 225, this is a rinse and repeat every single week. Mercedes double top 10 finish.
I love it. Mercedes double 10 top finish. That'll be stuck in my head whether I can say it or not. Andy Lang, check him out over at wagertalk.com, wt.buzz/AL. So now you're all ready to go for auto racing this weekend. Let's get ready for some early morning Japanese and Korean baseball right after this year with my man Tokyo Brandon on WagerTalk Extra. Well, it doesn't get much more WagerTalk Extra like than this. How about going from NASCAR and F1, getting you ready to go there on the racetrack, to Japanese and Korean baseball? It's only natural. It's what we do here on WagerTalk Extra. And bringing in my man Tokyo Brandon, and man, excited to have him on because there are very few people who had a better month of April than my man Tokyo Brandon. 86% profit in April across all sports. Not too bad for my man TB. So, Brandon, I say we get right into it. Let's start with Japanese baseball. Take a look at the Lotte Marines taking on the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. How are we going to be betting this one, brother?
All right, absolutely. Hey, I put these plays in before the lines came out, and now that this line came out, I actually made this a 5% play. So for those of you who are watching WagerTalk Extra, you're getting my 5% play for absolutely free. It is half Thursday, so it is half off anyway, even if you did buy it. But don't go buy my 5% play today. Just get it here for free, and I'm going to break it
Let's
down
go.
right now. If any of you watched the World Baseball Classic, you got to see Roki Sasaki. He's an amazing pitcher, and he pitches for the Marines today. Their lineup, a little bit of trouble. They're not really run producing in their last 7. They're only producing 2.6 runs a game. But in his last 7, he's held every team to 1 or less runs except one time. But we'll give him a pass for that one time he allowed 3 runs. He allows 0 to 1 run in all of his last 7 starts except one, and he has a strikeout rate of 13.1. So he's striking out 13 batters per 9 innings and allowing less than 1 run. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked to back Sasaki here. With the Chiba Lotte Marines. The price is a little steep, but in Japanese baseball, never want to lay a run line. Games are only averaging about 6 runs a game, so laying a run line is rather precarious to do. If you do not like the minus 161, what you can do is if you can get a first 5 minus 0.5, that would be doable as well. You can probably get that for minus 110 somewhere. I'm going to play it safe because this is a 5% play. I'm going to take the Lotte Marines on the money line. Here's another reason why I like this play. The Marines have a better bullpen, and they have the best starting pitcher in Japan going. What other reasons do you need? I'm all over the Marines here on the run line, and it's a 5% play.
I was quite literally betting it as you were breaking it down, Brandon. So the 5%er, I've locked it in. I'm riding alongside with you, Brandon, because if there's one thing, if you guys are tuning in, at least pause the show. Don't leave the show because you want to get it on these Tokyo Brandon plays. It's a smaller bet market. So 9 times out of 10, when Tokyo Brandon releases a 5% play, that line is going to move, and it will move quickly. So backing in with the Chiba Lotte Marines, we're laying it on the run line, Brandon, because sure, it might be 160 now. This thing might go off closer to minus 200 after you and your clients get on it, right?
And shop around because I got it for 150 just 10 minutes ago.
So there we go. There we go. I will. Once the show is done, I'll shop around because we still got to talk some KBO here and talk about my SSG Landers taking on the Kiwoom Heroes. How are you going to be looking at this one, Brandon?
Yeah, SSG has Owan Suk going. As you remember in our Asian baseball show last year, I like to call him Owan Suck because he was the worst guy in the rotation, but he's not anymore. He's actually got a 4 ERA this season, which in the KBO is quite a welcome sight for sore eyes. A 4 ERA in the KBO is actually not bad at all. He's going against John Chen Heon for Kiwoom. Heon is probably Kiwoom's worst rotation starter. What I really like about this play is SSG, their bullpen is just on fire. The average ERAs for bullpens in the KBO is about 3.8. SSG's bullpen is performing at an ERA of 2.72. SSG is also out hitting Kiwoom by quite a bit. SSG is hitting 4.7 runs a game in their last 7, whereas Kiwoom is 3.9 per game. If you want to just go back all the way to the beginning of the season, SSG is still outperforming them with the bats, 4.1 runs a game, as opposed to Kiwoom's 3.8. So we've got the better starting pitcher, not career numbers wise, but this season wise, we have the better starting pitcher. And actually, if you look at the history of Owan Suk against Kiwoom, he never allows more than 3 runs start Whereas Jiang against SSG, he has had a blow up here and there. Pretty consistent, but still, I think the bullpen discrepancy and the lineup discrepancy is enough to be all over SSG on the run line here. I just checked this before the show, and it was 125 where I got it at. It looks like you guys have it at 125 as well. I like this play, not a 5%er, but I did put this out as a 3 client play. So I'm giving 8% plays out today, 5% and a 3% here. But I do like the SSG Landers here. They had a good win yesterday. Their bats are on fire. And Kiwoom, since they lost Puig last season, they just haven't been hitting. So take the better starter, take the better bullpen, and go with the defending champion, SSG Landers.
Well, you never have to tell me twice to back the SSG Landers, as you well know, my unofficial favorite team, which I just picked them because they have the sweetest logo in the KBO. All right, so we got SSG, and you also gave it a 5% pledge. The man of the people, giving away all the client releases today is my man Tokyo Brandon. And Brandon, number 2, all sports profit the last 30 days. And you gave away a lot free today, but on Throwback Thursday, you also have an MLB play that you're liking that's posted at your page right now, correct?
I do have an MLB play that's posted on my page. It's half price. I also am going to be putting out more Asian plays today. There's at least one more that I like, and there's one that I also released right before the show. So you can get all of those for half price. Go to Tokyo Brandon's page at WagerTalk.com. I'm putting out $9 plays for all my Asian baseball every day, but today they're $4.50. Great deal. And I also have a free play loaded on the WagerTalk.com free play page. So go to WagerTalk.com and get all of the stuff I'm offering today.
And now you actually are allowed to go to WagerTalk.com and check out all those things Brandon was talking about, because we're done, not just for the day, but for the week. Big thanks to my man Andy Lang getting you ready to go in auto racing action. Big thanks to Tokyo Brandon giving us not just a 5%er, but a free play as well. We love it. That's going to do it for us here. I've been your host, Dan Alexander, reminding you with my great guest that no matter what you're cashing on, that money spends the same. Have a terrific weekend, and we'll be locked and loaded with another 3-pack of action for you next week right here on WagerTalk Extra.